Okay, so next presentation, unfortunately, none of the authors could make it here. So Shiheng from Tsinghua University is going to give the presentation on their behalf. Since he's not one of the authors, well, we will not be able to have questions after the talk, but feel free to reach out to the authors if you have questions. The audience.
Hello everyone. I am Shizhen Wang from Tsinghua University. Since all the authors of this paper cannot be here, unfortunately, so I will present this paper on their behalf. This work, CP-IoT, a cross-platform monitoring system for smart home, is proposed by Hailin and other people from Tsinghua University. And today, the Internet of Things has been widely popular and is all around us, from smart homes to smart farms or smart healthcare. And the IoT devices can realize precise control and real-time information feedback through remote communication with the platform. And today, we focus on one of the most typical scenarios, the smart home. In fact, there are many smart home platforms such as Amazon, Google, Apple, and so on. These platforms provide smart applications to facilitate users to watch their device status in real time and control them remotely. And more importantly, apart from the basic controls, this platform also provides automation rules that allow users to define daily routines, which don't require real-time control by the users, but they just react to the changes in the external environment or specific device actions. And most automation rules can be represented as an if this, then that paradigm. The if condition denotes an event and can be a device action or a global attribute such as time, home mode, and so on. And the action denotes the command to be executed to control the device. And here are two examples. The first rule is to turn off the fan when it is nighttime, and the second rule is to turn off the fan when there is no human activity detected. And we represent the event and the command as E and C symbolically, and the superscripts denote types and the subscripts indicate actions. However, automation rules also bring a lot of security issues. For example, sometimes the rule cannot be executed even if the trigger condition has already been met. And some other times, the rules can be executed accidentally or randomly, as shown in the slides. And these issues can be caused by many reasons, such as attack, device malfunctions, or faulty applications. And in this paper, we summarize these anomalies into two categories in general. The first one is anomaly in the execution of automation rules, referred to as SRA. For example, we set a rule that we should close the door when the user is not at home, but the door lock does not close properly. And the other category, which is a bit more complex, is dangerous interactions or interference between automation rules, referred to as CRT. For example, turning on the air conditioner when the user is not at home changes the temperature, and accidentally treat another rule to start the heater because it reduces the temperature. And another example of cross-rule interference behavior is that the low temperature and user smoking can cause conflicting actions to control the fan. It is worth noting that the cross-rule threats are also widespread in cross-platform contexts. So the question is, how can we detect all these threats and support multiple smart home platforms? To summarize, we need a monitoring system for smart home to first extract schematics of automation rules from different platform apps, and second, model devices and rules deployed on each platform, and third, identify the behavior of rule extraction from execution from the runtime environment and detect anomalies, and finally, with mine potential threats amongst various rules and propose security policies to mitigate them. And to this end, we propose a two-layer system to monitor the behavior of automation rules and devices and to support different smart home platforms. The bottom layer builds the system model. It extracts the semantics of rules from the app pages and different platform and construct a graph model that incorporates the behavior of device and rules. And the up layer performs the security functions. It identifies the runtime behavior of rules from their runtime traffic, detect the anomalies mine various types of interactions between rules and interference threads, as well as mitigate these anomalies and threats. Let's dive into more details. The first part of our system is the automation rule extraction. Considering the heterogeneity of code frameworks of different platforms, and in order to support multiple platforms, we designed a two-stage app page-based rule extraction method. The first stage applies natural language processing to the rule description statements in the rule description page, as shown in the right figure, and matches the triggering event part and the command part of the rule, so that we can get the basic execution logic of the rule. But in case that the platform may not provide a rule description or describe them vaguely, we carry out the rule configuration page analyze at the same time to extract user-defined parameters and policies, such as the message content. It supplements the logic of the rules in the first stage. And considering the multi-platform automation rules, the change of device state is complex. We need to simultaneously monitor the device state and the rule execution process, and we also need to consider the interaction between the rules of each platform to provide a complete exploration space for the later inter-rule threat discovery. And we build a centralized graph, and we model device information and device states as nodes, and model the event and command as edges between state nodes. And note that when a rule contains multiple events, the rule will execute the following command path only if all these events are triggered. So we set up union nodes to represent this intermediate state. And finally, as shown in the dotted box in the figure, a state transfer chain represents the execution specification of a rule. And to detect anomalies in the execution of an automation rule, we still need to identify the runtime behavior of the rule. The identification process, in order to correctly match events and commands, needs to first construct a fingerprint for each event or command. Assuming that the execution of a rule generates traffic containing n packets, the traffic can be partitioned into queue data flows based on the identity information of device. And each data flow represents an action of a device, that is, an event or command. And for each data flow, packet-level fingerprints and flow-level fingerprints are constructed, and different granularity of fingerprints are used, as shown in the table on the right. And finally, in order to minimize the effect of network delay and signal interference, the rules will be executed for T times so that the fingerprints of each event or command are clustered. After acquiring all the fingerprints, it is possible to recognize which device actions are made by the rule. The specific process is shown in the above figures. There exists a certain time interval between the event part and the command part of the rule. So based on the time threshold configured, multiple data flows can divide into the cause part of the effect part. Then event fingerprint matching is performed for the data flows in the cause part and effect part. And the formula is shown on the right side. We calculate the weighted Manhattan distance of packet-level features and flow-level features and select the event command with the smallest distance as a matching result. And finally, the event and command matched in each part are combined as the key effect sequence based on the dependencies, which represent the runtime behavior of the rule. For the subsequent anomaly detection, the sequence will be converted into the behavior graph. And to detect the anomalies in the execution graph of a certain rule, we need to locate its specification in the system model for anomaly detection. And based on the related device types and device states, we locate the most similar part as the specification graph. After that, we calculate the similarity score between the specification graph and the execution graph based on node attributes, edge attributes, and topology. Any inconstance in the event part or command part of the rules is considered as an anomaly. And based on the inconsistencies in different parts, the threat mitigation mechanism analyzes the specific anomaly type and suggests a solution. As for the cross-rule interactions, there are two types of the interactions: cyberspace interactions and physical interactions. Two rules, rule 1 and rule 2, that have cyberspace interactions mean that the command set of rule 1 contains the event set of rule 2, such that the execution of R1 will directly trigger the rule 2. And the physical interactions mean that the command of the first rule changes the environment channel and indirectly triggers rule 2. For example, rule 1 turns on the heater and increases the room temperature, and rule 2 is executed when a high temperature is detected. And to detect such relationships, we use the BERT model to analyze the correlation between the command of each rule and the physical channel. And the cross-rule interference identification is a bit more clear. It is already presented in the behavior graph model, and we only need to locate these threads on the graph. So we represent the semantics of different interference types as constraint on the graph and query them. For action, for example, for action conflict and action duplicate, the query results in two rules that satisfy the constraint, and for action reverting and action loop, the query results in two more rules that satisfy the constraint. We implement a prototype of CP-IoT and validate it in a real environment involving 32 IoT devices and 4 smart home platforms. A number of automation rules are deployed on each platform, and 4 anomalies are manually injected for each rule. We also simulate a test bed containing richer types of devices as automation rules. And we compare the rule extraction accuracy using word-to-vec or BERT, and the BERT model is better with an average accuracy higher than 98.9%. Since some of the description statements are vague or missing, the accuracy of rule semantic extraction increased significantly after supplementing the analysis of the configuration page. In the experiments of anomaly detection, 4 configurations with different predefined parameters are used, and the average CP-IoT accuracy is higher than 99%, and the average recall can be as high as 98%. We also analyzed 3 main reasons for the decrease in detection recall under some configuration. The first reason may be small packet deviation. The second is fail to get the log information, and the third is smart things may have higher response latency, and we think it may be caused by proxy servers. And finally, to test the effectiveness of cross-rule threat mining, some examples of typical cross-rule interaction activities are shown above. For example, turning on the robot cleaner when the dust level is high. The robot motion will indirectly trigger the second rule and turns on the dishwasher. Such physical interactions can result in water waste and even flooding. In comparison with other mining methods, CP-IoT can find more cross-rule interactions as more channels and rule combinations are considered. And furthermore, CP-IoT can find slightly more cross-rule interference since both CP-IoT and iRuler perform a complete search of the rule combination space. But CP-IoT considers more feasible rule chains triggered by multiple physical interactions. And that's all. Thanks for your listening.
Thank you. As we mentioned, none of the authors are here, so please feel free to reach out to them via email. And thank you very much for stepping in and still, well, allowing us to hear the presentation.